about to say, let me go ahead and unmute as we are just about to go. And if anyone's already in here, hopefully you are chilling out. Wake the fuck up, DJ. We got a city to burn. How you gonna just come in with all caps? This is a chill place. You hear the music. I swear, you're just like some of my old high school football teammates. They be hype as shit before a game. I'm the only one calm as shit. Like, I can be that one that's very calm in the midst of all types of chaos. It's just me. It helps me focus when I can stay calm. Yeah, you know. Alright, well, let me lift the lid on these things. Alright. So it is now 8 o'clock, and Spec has already given me the wake-up call because apparently it's go time as far as Cyberpunk. For those that have it on PC, Steam. I don't know what the other platform on PC other than Steam. I think maybe Epic. Okay, you'll be lurking due to Cyberpunk. Okay, and it's funny because this tonight is going to be a sci-fi themed discussion. Really just a reveal of origins of, my love for sci-fi. Like the fact that I'm just extremely biased towards the sci-fi genre when it comes to, I'm probably saying genre. I always say it that way, and it's stupid. Yeah, I figured it was on Epic. Genre. So I definitely have a specific bias towards that category of gaming and also films, because obviously Cyberpunk is out now on PC. So I will be playing that after this stream goes, out for the night. Which, just to let you guys know, this will also be a short stream because of that. Well, that and AEW wrestling, because I know most of the crowd is tuning into that. Hopefully I can put together a better show than they can do. I can probably do better talking, and I'm not a good talker. So here we go. Welcome to What the Fuck Just Happened. This is episode 10. I'm your host, DJ. And just welcoming two more people to the chat. Villain Black, which is Doug Thomas, Antonio Wilson. Hey, what's up, fellas? Pooh was here earlier, came in with all caps. And it's funny because just to relate all caps, if he had done that in 2018, I would have been all for it, because it would have been about all caps winning the Stanley Cup championship back then. But yeah, he's all caps for a different reason. Cyberpunk. So it's also Q&A. So if you have any questions, they don't even have to be related to sci-fi. If you have any questions about me, if you have any questions, it could be about life. I know Antonio definitely likes to ask those questions, so I'm always willing to answer. No matter how my reply sounds, I'm glad that you asked those questions, because not a lot of people ask the important questions. There's no such thing as a dumb question. Maybe my fellow panelists on First and Frame Rates may think so at times, but in this realm, this is a safe space to ask whatever questions you feel. So, alright, and Doug's like, I'm getting it tomorrow. Yeah, I think for everyone else, it releases on console by midnight, because, oh wait a minute, hold up. Maybe I'm wrong. Hold on, today's the 9th. Yeah, it releases at midnight on console. So, and it's gonna be funny to hear how regular users feel about Cyberpunk when it releases on console, because they said most of the bugs and most of the issues were on consoles. And not saying that there were no bugs on the PC version. I'll find that out when I play after this stream. But definitely, I'm looking forward to playing it. I wasn't expecting to get it that was definitely an impulse, like wanting to, check the game out. I almost made a mistake earlier and bought Madden 21. You want to know how I almost fell into it? Because I loaded up Madden 20, and I think season 2 or whatever, I forgot whatever it is, or season whatever it is. They still have a sale going on for the game where where the current gen version of Madden 21 is $35, or $35. And obviously that would mean if whenever I get the next gen console, I would have the free upgrade on top of that. So I was tempted. It was really tempted to get it just for the simple fact that it was $35. Now, reason why I didn't get it, because one, there were more important things to put $35 towards, like a credit card bill. Did that. And two, I had set a rule for myself after the determination that, hey, if Madden drops below a certain price point, I probably will get it. And that price point is below $20. So if it was like $19.99, then I would have gotten it. So if EA, you guys are listening, my price is $20 because I have been the one that has not had the complaints about the gameplay as many folks claim, as many folks tend to, but my complaint has been a little bit more than the gameplay. The fact that even as I play Madden 20, there's going to be a lot of things that obviously in Madden 20 you're not going to experience in 21, and the next gen version. There are certain things y'all took shortcuts on the current gen. You can't really get away from that. So, alright, so done with the spiel for the accidental purchase of Madden 21. Alright, so where do we begin? Because this is Cyber Night, according to the cyberpunk people. And what we call them, cyberpunks? I'm like, just punks? I don't know. What do we call you guys? I'm not a Project CD Red fanboy or whatever. I do have The Witcher 3, and it was a good game. It's not the greatest game on earth, as some YouTubers and some people claim to be. But so Antonio is asking, are you getting the game? Are we talking about Madden again? Because as of right now, still the answer is no. But if we're talking about Cyberpunk, I already have it. It's actually live on my okay, Cyberpunk. Okay, yeah, I already have it. It went live on my hard drive in my Steam account about a little over an hour ago. So after this stream is done, I'll definitely be playing it. So, all right. So we're talking about sci-fi movies, games, my origins as far as what's gotten me to like that genre. I said that right for the first time in like a million years. And why I have a bias towards that genre. And literally, it just was the first thing I saw when I was a little kid. I think the first sci-fi film that I saw was Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan. So that was Star Trek 2. I didn't see I didn't see the first Star Trek until after The Wrath of Khan. And the funny part about it is that, back in the day, we had VHS tapes and VCRs and floor model TVs and stuff like that. And obviously that's showing my age. Is the fact that these were recorded off the TV. And the tape that my folks had recorded had not just The Wrath of Khan, it had Star Wars on it as well. It had The New Hope. But the first time I really saw Star Wars was Empire Strikes Back. That's where I jumped into the Star Wars realm. And then, of course, I went back and saw New Hope. But you're talking about I was 3, 4. So pretty much the original trilogy had already came out by the time I started. And then there was an off-brand Star Wars single one-off series that featured C-3PO and R2-D2. It was the Battle for Endor, even though that's the name of the actual fight at the end of Return of the Jedi. But the one-off movie was nothing but Ewoks, C-3PO, or was it? I don't think C-3PO was in it. I think it was just R2-D2. And a family that crash landed on Endor and were taken in by a local band of Ewoks, including, I forgot what was that Ewok's name? I can't remember the name of that particular Ewok. It was played by Warwick Davis. And they went on this little adventure trying to like find, because basically the family got separated. The parents were kidnapped by this big ass monster that was in this cave, and the band of Ewoks and the two kids, along with R2-D2, I think C-3PO, they got to this cave. There was this one Ewok that was like the brave one. He had an axe that he would just throw at people, and he winds up dying in that battle against the monster. And they wound up killing the monster. They wound up saving their parents, and that was that. But if anything, George Lucas definitely originated the one-off Star Wars stories with that film right there. And I don't think people give him enough credit for coming up with that, because they want to say that to my knowledge, Battle for Endor is not canon for what I take. But so I went off on a tangent on Star Wars, but like I said, the first sci-fi movie I saw was Star Trek, Wrath of Khan. I don't know how many times I've seen that movie. And it was, as a 3 or 4-year-old, and you seeing bodies being burned up and charred and stuff like that, that kind of leaves a scar, that kind of leaves a mark on like how badly the human body can be damaged. But it was really about space exploration and just like different races of aliens, the possibilities that we're not alone in this universe. And it really I'm more curious about that than I'm curious about football or baseball and stuff like that. These are stuff like football and baseball is stuff that I've done over and over again. And you'll see when we go live on First and Frame Rates that half the time when Bills and VF are having a back and forth, I will be just chilling, because the little minute stuff that they remember, I really just have, it's in through one ear and out the other. And they're good for the details as far as these games. I go by what I see, and I try to go strictly by what I feel about those moments in those sports. But ask me about races, ask me about the alien races, ask me about languages and these different aliens and stuff like that. Photon torpedoes and plasma rifles and stuff like that. Like games like Halo definitely interest me as far as in the gaming. Yeah, Halo. Carrier was it's gonna like bounce off all walls here. Carrier was a game on Dreamcast, and it was sci-fi survival horror. I would kind of classify Resident Evil in that nature. It kind of depends. The films made it look sci-fi, but the genre was sci-fi horror. So testing, experiments, research, stuff like that. I do research almost every single day Like, I literally get on the computer and just look up stuff. Like, read stuff, take interest. Like, I think, oh, that's another reason why I'm also, like, very interested in the sci-fi. And that is, remember having this big, giant encyclopedia that literally when I was reading it gave me the picture of the planets, learned about the planets, learned about like the asteroid belt, and then I learned about the life cycle of the sun and how long this whole solar system has before it will go kaput. And obviously none of us will be around. Matter of fact, I think 1,000 generations of us will have passed by the time the sun goes kaput. And newsflash, if you happen to relive or become reincarnated in something and it's billions and billions of years later, Earth won't be here. Matter of fact, they say when the sun starts to die, because it's a star, it first enlarges, and when it enlarges, it will engulf Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, all in that tandem, and will take up the asteroid belt, leaving the rest of the planets. That's what's going to happen. So eventually, mankind will have to find their way off this planet, one way or another. So hopefully they can, and Mars is not going to work. They could better find like Jupiter or, don't land. Nah, I'm not even going to say that. I was about to walk into that. But yeah, and this, like I said, I got into this all when I was young, so I remember like what I read, history of man, the science behind evolution. That's why I'm not heavily religious, because if folks that they really do, something else could happen. Matter of fact, what else you think could happen? I'm like, well, oh, you know what? You're right, because we've been threatened by asteroids smashing against this planet for quite some time. It said there was supposed to be one that was supposed to hit us last year. We've been hit. It's just we get hit by these meteors, and then once they hit the atmosphere, they become meteorites. So I'm like, you get that giant asteroid, then yeah, we're doomed. And if it just happens to like catch us in its path, they say there's one right now that if we farm it, everybody on the planet can be rich. But knowing these goddamn pirates and greedy ass bitches, no one will get rich. Like, there's so many minerals that can be farmed from these asteroids. They need to find a way to be able to harvest from these asteroids. I'm like, hell, I play No Man's Sky. See, and that's another game, No Man's Sky. It's the reason why I continue to play that game, because infinite amount of exploration. And even though the story is finite, the replay value of it is infinite, because these planets are in No Man's Sky are procedurally generated. I've probably logged in between PC and console. I've probably logged in a good 300 or more hours. And I've played No Man's Sky ever since launch. So you talking about, I've played this game for 4 years and still play it. I will probably be playing it for a 5th year. I will be playing it into next gen. Whenever I get a next gen console. But I'm trying to figure out some other, like, Halo is a good game. I mentioned that before. Halo is a good game. No Man's Sky. Dead Space 1, 2, not 3. 3 was horrible, but Dead Space 1 and 2 are really good games in the sci-fi genre that I wish I had gotten into. And because it would have kept up that whole Resident Evil, Dead Space. It would have kept up that whole, and I think when it came out, I think I was in the military or just went into basic training, and didn't really get a chance to check those out. I didn't even know those games even existed until hearing about it, and then watching the playthroughs. I'll tell you what, a lot of these games, definitely Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 1, I watched, and that definitely plays out like a movie. You definitely jump along with the players that play these games, because I jumped on a bunch of scenes that popped up with that game. Of course, they had some animated, adult-themed animated episodes of Dead Space. I think it was Extraction, I think was one. Oh, maybe that was the DLC. There was another one that I saw that was like the prequel to Dead Space. And I'm like, the story of Dead Space is really sad, though. Because it's just like... And it's no spoiler alert on this game because it's been out forever. If you haven't played it, you're probably not going to play it. But if you haven't played it, you probably may be interested in playing it. Who knows? But the story of this game is basically you're a part of a crew this is Dead Space 1. You're part of a crew that is journeying through space to reach a derelict ship. And that ship, you're trying to find survivors. You get there, but before you get there, your character is either dreaming about the last message his girlfriend sent him, because she's on the ship, or was on the ship. And the crew gets to the ship. A little bit of lull time, walking through, and then all of a sudden hell breaks loose. And then for the rest of the game, you don't know when you get a chance to rest. You don't know what's lurking around the corners. You hear these different sounds and noises that make you think something's gonna, and then when you think nothing's gonna come out, something does come out. And they come out from left field, they come out from the ceiling, they come out, like if you're walking past a vent, something may snatch you out. They have a giant tentacle that snatches you when you get to a certain part of the game. And even the interesting thing about this game is that they made it so that people typically go for headshots in third person or first person shooters. Headshot, bang, especially in zombie games. But no, you gotta cut out the enemies you encounter. You have to chop them down. You have to shoot off arms, limbs, whatever. You can't just shoot them in the head. It does nothing. And then it's just, the game is just crazy, and the Dead Space 2 just takes it even further. So one day I may play through that game for myself. I don't know if my nerves would be able to handle it, because I barely got through when I was a kid, I barely got through Resident Evil 2 and 3. Let's see, because I remember I beat Resident Evil 2, beat Resident Evil 3, beat Code Veronica, skipped Resident Evil 4 because I didn't really like how that was set up. Even watching the gameplay of it, I was just like, ugh, I don't like how this playing out at all. It's making it more like the movie version of Resident Evil. And then I played Resident Evil 5, beat that, skipped 6 because that was trash, skipped 7 because that was also, I'm like, the game was good, but I didn't like the story and the direction. Matter of fact, that's why I curse out Resident Evil 8, because they're full of shit at this point. Capcom, you're full of shit. That's not how the story's supposed to go. I'm not getting Resident Evil 8. Fuck that game. I've said it many times. Fuck that game. So, but I definitely did get the remake of Resident Evil 2. Definitely enjoyed that. Haven't completed it, but I don't need to complete it because I've already beaten a Resident Evil 2. I've already beaten a Resident Evil 3, and I had to remake a Resident Evil 3. I wish the same team had made Resident Evil 3 like that did Resident Evil 2. As soon as I heard it was a different team, what the hell? Oh, Sting's on. soon as they said there was a different squad, that different team studio that was going to do Resident Evil 3, I already knew it wasn't going to be as good as Resident Evil 2, and it proved it. So, all right, so let me go in the chat real quick. So Doug's like, what did you? He loved Dead Space. What did you think of Mass Effect? I love Mass Effect. The first three. I liked all three. That latest Mass Effect, I tried it, and it wasn't so much the bugs. I was just confused about the story. Like, where were we in the timeline? Like, were we after the demise of Shepard, or are we before? It looks like the way the way they put it out there, it looks like it happens before, but there are some elements that make it seem like it's after Shepard. So I just didn't like how that game played. They changed the engine. They went from Unreal to Frostbite, and I tell you, these games switching to Frostbite that have no business switching to Frostbite. It's EA just, I'm like, EA outside of NHL jumping to Frostbite needs to rethink that engine as far as gaming is concerned. I'm like, only Battlefield, that engine was specifically for Battlefield. And they even, in my eyes, I felt like they messed up Battlefield with that engine. So, but they could fix it. They could fix Battlefield with that engine. But anyway, Mass Effect 1 was really good. I believe I still have it. Mass Effect 2 I have on my PC. So that's the only one I beat. And believe me, there are scenes like I'll even include The Last of Us 2 as kind of like sci-fi. It's kind of grounded sci-fi because it's an apocalyptic survival horror type thing, but it has a bit of science, a lot of science to it. How about Bioshock? I know I saw that earlier. I didn't really play Bioshock. And the funny thing is that one of the story elements actually has places the name of the town. That's my town. That's Columbia. I don't know if that's Bioshock Infinite or Bioshock 2. I've seen some people play it. It looks good, but it didn't really pull me. I forgot who made that game, but I'm like, I'm trying to figure out what era Bioshock came in, because it was like I felt like I caught certain aspects of sci-fi gaming, but missed other aspects of sci-fi gaming. Bioshock was definitely one of them. I did play Fallout 4. 2K Games made it. Oh, you know what? You want to talk about 2K Games? 2K... No, wait a minute. I want to make sure I'm correct on this, because who did the recent game... Oh, I thought that was somebody else. Who did the game Prey? Like the recent Prey? Because I don't know if 2K Games did the Prey before that, the original Prey. And even though the graphics were kind of subpar, the story was really good, and it actually pulled me in. It was the story of Prey was immersive, and I hated the fact that they couldn't get an exact sequel, and it kind of felt like the game got whitewashed because they were Native Americans, and the story was centered on Native American tropes. Even though it was a sci-fi, like you was abducted by aliens in the middle of an invasion, but you was a Native American and you survived based on spirits, based on the tribe that your character was based out of. And you know, I'm like 1% Native American, and that's why I liked Assassin's Creed 3. Now, Assassin's Creed 3 is in the science realm too, because when you talk about the animus, and you talk about the golden, what was it, the they call it the apple, was pretty much like the ultimate weapon that you would use against the final bosses. They were like this all-powerful character because they possessed the apple. But you were basically reliving your family's past according to your DNA. Yeah, Bethesda, that was and let's see. So Bethesda, did Bethesda make the recent Prey, or did 2K make the recent Prey? I could also look that up. Let's see. I'm gonna look that up. Okay, 2006 was made by. Yep. Okay, so the 2K version was the better one, and then let me go back. Oh god, I hate want to do that. Go to Prey. Oops, I spelled that wrong. 2017 game. Yeah, that's why I know. That's why a lot of people don't like Bethesda that much. Is because when they make games, that's why they got the term, the nickname, the term Bugfesta, and they're literally right down the highway from me. That studio. They're like 30, 45 minutes away from me. And I just go down I-95 and head down there, and yeah, they're right there. So yeah, I like 2K's version of Prey better than Bethesda's. I did the demo for Prey for Bethesda, and I was just not interested. I didn't like the fact that they changed it. They whitewashed the character. They and I really don't care much for representation, but you started a story that had an interesting plot to it, and you could not continue it for whatever reason. I know the second one was in developer hell, but it didn't really. All we saw was a trailer of Prey 2 from 2K, and the game got canceled, or it got postponed, and then the game itself got sold to Bethesda, and Bethesda came out with this garbage looking game that they finally put out in 2017. So, but Mass Effect, definitely. I liked Mass Effect for the fact that it's another possible future. I'm like, we talk about alien invasions and stuff like that. It is a possible future where like just beings just come out of nowhere and start just blowing up shit. Like Independence Day. That's another sci-fi movie that talk about alien invasions and stuff like that. There's a old, skipping back into movies. Here was another one that I don't think a lot of people saw this. It used to come on HBO all the time. It was a movie called Space Invaders. It was like a hokey sci-fi. I wouldn't say it wasn't horror because it wasn't scary at all. I remember I was 8 years old watching this movie, and it was like these three, I don't know, 3-4 aliens that crash landed, and they were under. I think they weren't being chased from anybody. But I remember the game Space Invaders, but this was called Space. Like, hold on, I'll type it up in the chat. That's how it was spelled, Space Invaders. And it was really funny. It was really a funny movie. I think it was 3 aliens crash landed on Earth. I think they were banished to Earth, and they were trying to take over. They literally had a song that was like they're trying to take over, like Martians are taking over the world, that was like the lyric that kept repeating itself. But there were people that they would encounter, and they're like, "Take me to your leader." You know, the typical like invasion trope that aliens go by, like, "Take me to your leader," or "Face the consequences. I'll blow up your planet," whatever. That also leads me to Flight of the Navigator, which was a Disney movie and a very good one. If they ever remade that movie, I would be happy. I thought like parts of it were sad. Like even back then, I thought there were moments where, like, because there's a moment where he's in the ship and they've developed like a connection, the ship and him, to the point where he literally is fast forwarded through time and pretty much leaves his family behind or whatever in this time warp, because the ship believes that he just wants to get away, but in the end he just wants, things to be back to normal, but still have this relationship with this ship. So I forgot what winds up happening. Oh, Alienation. Oh man, that was crazy. I didn't really like the movie, but the TV series was crazy. One of the actors that played the detective in TV series, I think he passed away recently. But yeah, there were, man, Alienation as a TV series. That also leads me to go make a round trip back to Star Trek as far as the television series. Okay, what did I think about Dune? See, this, just like the video games, there's certain movies I didn't even watch and haven't gone to watch, but I will definitely check out Dune, like the classic Dune. I have not seen it, but if it's like anything like Mad Max, then yeah, I will definitely be watching it. So just stopping by. I've been writing lyrics the whole entire time. Oh, what's up, Bills? So, what did you see? Did you see Sting? He was on there earlier, and it kind of, from what I was looking, it wasn't really. I'm like, I have the TV on mute, but I saw Sting, and it was kind of like he kind of looked like he had been drinking. Cause he was kind of like, it kind of reminded me like he was going in and out between like Sting, like regular Sting, and Joker Sting. So I don't know what that was about. So you watch it and then watch the remake in 2021. Yeah, trust me. I think the reason why I'm not watching a whole lot of sci-fi films, so I can watch a whole lot of sci-fi films later on, because this just to talk about 2020 reminds me of an episode in Star Trek Voyager called The Year in Hell. It was a two-part, I think it was 2 or 3-part story arc in the Voyager series. And yeah, this has all the makings of A Year in Hell. Like, people are just down on their luck, just trying to like stay healthy and avoid getting COVID and stuff like that. And oh, and by the way, I got that new Rogue Energy. It came in yesterday on time, because I swear, not only does it taste good, it gives you clean energy. I went back to doing the energy drinks. My stomach, man, that shit is horrible. I wouldn't suggest energy, like the regular energy drinks. If you can get Rogue Energy, go to rogueenergy.com. You can get, I think it's a 10% discount. Just use my username DJ81, and yeah. So clean energy. It's really based on caffeine, and it tastes so good. Speaking of stomach, I had ill. I'm like, not ill. What? TMI. TMI. You, the toilet, and your colon need to keep off my chat. Just saying. It's a formality, more like a fatality. Yeah, somebody died in order for that to happen. But anyway, again, Rogue Energy. Go to rogueenergy.com. In the discount section, put DJ81 after you get your tub, your whatevers, and yeah, I flubbed it. I don't care. Just put in DJ81, get a 10% discount off the sale. So have at it. But anyway. Speaking of flubbing stuff, Bills. No. You're trying too hard now. I'm like, go back to writing lyrics. So where was I before I was interrupted by Bills and his number 2 conquests off of the Spanish Inquisition of his porcelain property. Yeah, and I go back to drinking and trying to watch AEW at the same time. I'm trying to remember where I was at. Oh yeah, Year in Hell. Star Trek Voyager. Like I said, Star Trek Voyager was an interesting television series, sci-fi related. That also leads me to Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And obviously I haven't watched the new Star Trek series, so not that there wasn't representation in Star Trek and Star Wars, but I'm gonna say specifically Star Trek. There was always representation. I think they've covered everybody by now as far as who's been captain. I'm like, you look at Star Trek Deep Space Nine, you had an African American captain. That went from captain to commander, which was kind of cool. You know, you didn't see that with Jean-Luc in Next Generation. He stayed the captain. Like the only time you really saw Jean-Luc Picard become captain or get higher up was if you saw the new Picard series. And I think there were certain episodes in Next Generation where they like jumped the time ahead, like maybe 10-15 years to, it was part of the plot where he was jumping in between time. It's like he had an episode like that, and I think his first lieutenant, or his number one, Riker, had a jump through time. He definitely had a jump through time incident. I think Picard had his towards the end of the show. Riker had his like in the middle, and they actually, and it's funny because there was one time Riker was about to be promoted during the season, and he turned it down. He's going to have his own ship, and MJF cuts the best promos, and they can be 30 seconds or less. Yeah, that's what they say about an interview. If you want to sell yourself, you best practice to be able to sell yourself in 30 seconds or less, because they'll treat you like all these job resumes. They'll just look at it. If it's too long, they'll just toss it to the side. So if you're talking and you go beyond 30 seconds, they'll just go in through one ear and out the other. That's usually how it goes. So MJF is the best to do it as far as the 30-second promo or any promo length. It's just he has the ability to keep you interested. So, but Riker being promoted to captain, they literally tied in that episode with the end of Star Trek. What was the one that came after all of them that a lot of people didn't really like, but when I went and checked it out, I wish they would have done more of them. I definitely enjoyed Enterprise. That was the name of it, and that was supposed to be a prequel to all the Star Trek movies and television shows, because that's when Earth finally figured out warp drive due to from a big help from the Vulcan race that had visited the planet. And you want to talk about, movies that had alien invasions? Well, Star Trek was like the human race basically was able to get off of Earth due to the Vulcans coming down and forming an alliance. So you hope a situation like that happens. They right now we're hearing in the news that there's been communications. I wouldn't say communications with aliens, but they've been communicating. They know there are aliens out there. If somebody is coming, and if there's an alien race that's tuning in, please come in peace and advanced technology, so we can be out this Stone Age. Because I swear I am tired of being in this Stone Age, and I think here in the United States, we definitely could have been out this Stone Age like 10 years ago. But politics, greed, all that. Alright, so Doug is like, see, I couldn't get into Enterprise for some reason. A lot of people didn't really get into Enterprise because it took it back. A lot of the ship itself was it was the original. It was like the first Enterprise ship. It was their first, what do they call it, Galaxy class starship. So it didn't have any of the upgrades that you got accustomed to with the Star Trek original television series, the movies, the different spin-offs, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine. They didn't have warp drive, or they had a base. They could only go to warp 4. The Star Trek series that we were used to in the movies, they were at like warp 8, warp 9. And there was a moment in the series where they didn't even have warp drive at all. They could easily lose warp drive capability. And a lot of the stuff, it kind of reminds you of the old sea ships that people used to journey with back in like the 1500s and stuff like that. So, man, but there was something about it that the characters were definitely interesting, because remember, the Klingons, who by the time a lot of us jumped into Star Trek, were kind of beefing. We were beefing with the Klingons, but wasn't necessarily like, we were kind of like, we were allies, but we weren't friends. You know how that goes. It's like an enemy of my enemy is my friend type of deal. The Klingons in the Federation, which was like humans and other different races that joined the Federation, was about. Enterprise, the Klingons were definitely the enemy at that point. This was like, the matter of fact, the first episode starts off with a Klingon being shot to death. And it was funny, I was thinking Worf would have made an appearance. Like, not Worf the character, but I think the actor actually appeared in Star Trek Enterprise. They literally had several people from Star Trek Next Generation pop up, including at the end with Riker and Deanna Troi. The guy who played Data appeared in Enterprise. Q popped up. I think he popped up in Enterprise. And the guy who played Worf, Michael Dorn, he popped up in Enterprise. So there was some surprises that popped up. And some people, they do obsess over the women in Star Trek, and I'm gonna tell y'all, that Vulcan, I forgot her name. Let me look up a character's name, because I don't want to just say Vulcan, woman, female, whatever, but I forgot her name. I might just look it up real quick on Enterprise. Her name was the actress's name is Jolene Blaylock. She's like a former fitness model, stuff like that. Her character's name was T'Pol. Sexy as fuck. Probably like if we were to rank Star Trek women, and I know this sounds nerdy as hell, she would be number one. She'd be number one. I just only really, let's see, her, Deanna Troi. But the drawback with Deanna is she had no ass. That was, well, and so did Jolene. She definitely, T'Pol, her character, they both didn't have an ass. Matter of fact, I think because of the outfits, there was really no females in these episodes, television and movies that really had an ass, because it was a tight uniform. Plus, you talk about people that are in great shape. You know, characters that are supposed to be in great shape. So, oh, that's right, I forgot about her. 7 of 9. Actually, nope, flip that. 7 of 9, number 1, T'Pol and Deanna Troi, top 3. And rounding out number 4 would be Uhura. I can't even say her name right because her name's in Swahili. From the original movies and what was it? From the original movies and the original television show. So those are, I think those are the top 4. I don't think there's really anybody else that I've seen that I would even throw in a 5th. Of course, Star Wars had no attractive women, so I don't know how that's gonna run. What time is it? Oh wow, we actually got an hour out of this. I was actually planning to be here for a half an hour. I didn't think we'd be able, but you know how shit happens. Sometimes you get on a roll, and stuff leads into another. And I knew I was gonna be jumping around because this is sci-fi Q&A all in one. So, and doing it with no slides this time because I had to take a break from the slides. I was actually trying to figure out how I was gonna reset this up. So Sting is here for dark. Well, duh. I knew. Well, I'm not gonna say that. I kind of figured he doesn't seem drunk. When I call him the one. Whoa, really? I just turned to have. Why is she throwing? What did Shaq say to her? Uh-oh. Hope he didn't call her a dumb hoe. Shaq getting his water splashed in his face? I'll be sure to catch the highlight. And I think Kenny Omega is supposed to be announcing something tonight, so that's gonna be interesting. Alright, but yeah, I probably would not throw a 5th in there. But yeah, 7 of 9 was number 1 by far. No, I think 7 of 9 and T'Pol, top 2. Close. Like, they can literally be 1A and 1B on my list. So, and obviously there are no females in the chat, so they can't rate the men, or they can't rate the women along with us. And I don't know if there are any gay men in the chat that could rate the men. I don't know. It's just funny. But yeah. We're talking about like science fiction, whether it's gaming, movies. It's a sci-fi episode, so that's basically what's been talked about. I kind of like went in and out as far as I think I talked about almost by man. Of course you'll see yourself out. Bye. Jeez. He was like, I see myself out. I swear. I think you You know, one of the reasons why I probably I know people tune in and stuff like that, but people didn't tune out because I talk about shit that nobody else wants to talk about. Like, I know if I tried to talk about this on first and frame rates, I would get shut out quickly. And I have been shut out quickly. But I know that, you know, a lot of the stuff I want to talk about doesn't necessarily delve into sports a whole lot. Like, I feel like I'm getting past the point where talking about sports is passe for me. Like, I can talk about it, but I don't feel anything for it because, one, I'm not actively playing it. Two, it's like people talk about it 24/7, 365, sometimes 366 days out of the year, and it's like a long overdue message that I remember this one girl in I think it was middle school told, all you do is talk about sports. Do you talk about something else? And I remember that to this day. And I learned a great lesson. It is great. Yes, Doug, you are correct. It is nice to be diversified in a conversation. I'm like, obviously, there's politics, which there's always a political theme in these sci-fi movies and games, particularly Star Wars and Star Trek. I know we talked about representation, and it's funny because, just to go again, a lot of the sci-fi for me is based off of Star Trek and Star Wars. Wow, trying to burp that out. But yeah, a lot of the politics that I see, like on CNN, Fox, Independent News, you know, I've seen a Trump appear and a Trump-like character appear in a bunch of episodes of Star Trek. Obviously, Star Wars played out in a way that it's almost looking like it's trying to play out right now with Trump trying to maintain power. He's trying to like bully anyone and everyone to either investigate somebody, his opponent's family member or whatever, or try to overturn democracy. It pretty much was Chancellor Palpatine in Star Wars by episode 3. He kind of started that trend. I think he started that trend by obviously episode 1. You kind of seen like the first steps of him infiltrating and gaining power, and then episode 2 you saw the fateful decision by Jar Jar Binks to give Chancellor Palpatine more power, and then by episode 3 he pretty much was all powerful, and then when they tried to arrest him, he pretty much sliced them all up, except for Mace Windu. He had Anakin came in and jumped them from behind. It was kind of one of those ambushes. I wonder if they're gonna break up this group. Probably not. Is he wearing a Steelers handkerchief? That was the fakest laugh I've ever did. Is that a Steelers handkerchief? Oh no, that's something else. Okay, I thought it was poor Steelers. Anyway, so trying to figure out what other stuff have I watched. Oh, obviously Marvel goes into sci-fi a bit. DC goes into sci-fi a bit. I'm trying to remember. Remember when the Fantastic Four, the first Fantastic Four movie, not the one that they kind of rebooted the Fantastic Four and it kind of sucked. The one before that had what's his name play the Silver Surfer. Or was that the second one? Because there was only one. There was two, but the second one was the reboot. The other one was the original one. No, they did have two original with the original group of Fantastic Four. I'm gonna look that up again. Yep, 2005. Okay, so there were two Fantastic Fours that were good. The first one, and then the Rise of the Silver Surfer. And let's see, what's the name played the Silver Surfer, and that was Lawrence Fishburne. He voiced the character of the Silver Surfer. So I thought that was interesting. Obviously, you know, the sci-fi, like I said before, goes into Marvel and DC, and that leads into that universe where science is kind of like exaggerated a bit. Like the fact that Batman is like pretty much his whole company is based. It has a research and development department. The fact that Superman he dabbles in the sciences a bit, which is all that's kind of crazy. And then all the other characters, you know, aliens invading like Darkseid and Thanos. You know, talk about the chaos. Let's see, I was about to say Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog is another game that's like sci-fi related. The Chaos Emeralds. You had the Power Stones. I forgot what the actual stones are called in the Marvel universe, but the Infinity Stones. That's what they're called. The Infinity Stones. So, like the fact that you could wield a power greater than everybody and pretty much destroy anything, like especially with the Infinity Stones, it's basically like boom. And certain people, I guess it was Thanos snapped his fingers, and certain people went away. Not everybody went away. Certain people were erased, and it just seemed like it was whoever he wanted to disappeared. Boy, definitely want to scarf that down. So, anybody got any questions so far in the chat? Any more questions? Because it's 9 o'clock, and even though AEW Dynamite has another hour, it's also Cyber Night. I'm trying to think of some other stuff that it'll probably come to me like later on, not necessarily obviously after the stream. I'll probably have another sci-fi discussion at some point. I definitely like talking about sci-fi and talking about different movies and games related to the sci-fi realm. I would say Metal Gear definitely dabbled in the sciences. It's more supernatural, but you know, advanced genetics, super humans, genetically altered humans. So I'm trying to think of some questions, but I can't think of, which is fine. Okay, let's see. Which man do you think is better, 2003 or 2004? If he had said 2005, I would have said 05, but I think 04 was better. I don't quite remember the difference between 2003 didn't have playmaker control. 2004 did. Offensive playmaker control. 2005, you got the hit stick and defensive player control, playmaker control. So 2005 probably was the most balanced game. 2004 I like better. You're talking about the PS2 days, so all the motion, the running, the speed of the game, and even the camera angles. Like the way the cameras used to work in Madden was that they didn't exactly keep up with the play one for one, which whenever I play Madden, like if I play Madden 20 or a game before then, I'm playing free safety trying to line up a tackle, and if the camera is following the play exactly one for one, it's a little bit tough to line up the hit. You kind of need the feel still to be able to line up these hits. And like when you played All Pro Football 2K8, ESPN 2K5, past Maddens, but on the PS2, they used to always have a delay in how the camera would follow. So you can line up hits, you can position yourself better. You wasn't thinking about, oh, I had to make this last second adjustment because the screen's moving at the same rate as the player, which it shouldn't be that way. I think that's why. I think the only way you can compensate for that is if you do all 22 camera view. But no one wants to play. Well, a few people want to play all 22 because the camera angle, it's just too small. Like especially if you're running the ball, it'll zoom in, but I'm like, to see the holes, you gotta kind of be right up on it. So I think the closest angle I use is wide, so I can see the receivers, I can see the corners. So if like I'm calling a play, like I was playing against Pittsburgh in Madden 20 earlier, and Watt, the outside linebacker, he has an X factor ability, and he can wreck shop, and he did it. He was a factor in the Monday night game, and what was it? The advantage the mismatch I took advantage of was the fact that I went trips right, with the trips bunch being far, not close to my lineman, but far. Which in some cases they would call a play which would have him out there covering the tight end. And when that was starting to happen, I was like, oh, we're going to run this formation to death. Just call different plays out of his formation because he's not going to be able to cover who I got out there. Whether I'm running a wide receiver screen, whether I'm running like combo routes. And plus I'm looking like I'm using Alex Smith. So I'm pretty much, and it's going to be getting the ball out, not giving the linemen that are left there, because what happens is when you spread, now we're doing the football talk. So if you're listening, now we're talking football. So you have a trips bunch set, but it's more like a trips out. I'm going to call it trips outcast, because you sent all three of them out. Like the trips banish. I'm gonna call it trips banish, right? So they're out there by themselves, them three, and Pittsburgh would sometimes have a personnel with a linebacker is lined up out there, so he can't rush the QB, which is great because then I have Antonio Gibson. I could run like a lead play out of shotgun. I can do all these type of things that will be better for my team, better for in the passing game as far as quarterback protection. I don't have to slide protections as much. I don't have to call for a double team of anybody. Maybe one other person, but that's it. I just have to make sure my throws are on time. And, during that game, I made a late-ass throw. No, it wasn't late. It was on time. It's just the corner made a great break on it. And again, knowing that I have Alex Smith, when throws are on time, they had, like with Alex Smith, I had to make sure like any route I throw, make sure I throw it early. If I throw it early, more likely my receiver's gonna catch it, or the corner will only have the chance to knock it down. If I had Dwayne Haskins, that probably would have been rifled in there, but that's a different story. Okay, so Antonio's like, I asked because I'm subscribed to YouTuber who prefers 2003 over 2004. Well, that I think is everybody has their preferences. So not knowing what their preference is, I would like just reading what you put in the chat. I wouldn't know what to say to that. I'm like, I'm not gonna say that they're crazy because some people like we're talking about the fact that some people like the 2000 series of Maddens over the current series of Maddens. You know, last generations versus this generation, and then the next generation Maddens and stuff like that. So, you know, everybody has their preference. You know, they definitely were. Let's see. It's kind of like a balance because those Maddens in the early 2000s didn't have much. They had a trading card system, but it was free, wasn't monetized or anything of that nature. But they had a full franchise mode, I'll tell you that much. And then it's just like, you know, in apps, I think after 2012 was the last time they had a full franchise mode. Pretty much around the same time they started taking advantage of MUT. And then it was like, okay, you don't have anything in franchise mode, but you got all this in MUT, and you got all these other arcade modes. People are participating in tournaments and only running the ball with the punter as their quarterback. But you don't have a franchise mode. Yes, you put gameplay elements in the game at each step, but then you also had a hard reset after Madden 12. Like, it was a hard reset. Even though the only thing that they it seemed like they brought over was the coding. Other than that, they did a hard reset because by 13 you didn't really have a franchise mode. Then you started seeing MUT, and MUT just got bigger and it became its own game within itself. So, and the suits were only paying attention to the mode that made the money, because we talked about this, the suits placing their hand on these developers' shoulders, like, nah, son. Like, it basically like, nah, son, you're gonna have to stop with that gameplay improvements. It's costing me money. So, okay. It's 9:12. Anybody got any more questions? Because I'm about to play some Cyberpunk. Definitely want to see what this is all about. You know, just for those that are not aware, Cyberpunk is out now on PC, Steam, and Epic. It went live at 7 p.m. So I skipped past playing it before the stream so I could play it after the stream, which would have been better because then I can just focus on the game instead of rushing it and don't know when my next save point is, and then having to jump on here all disheveled and everything. Let me see. Antonio's like, Madden 12 was the last one that had cheerleaders and mascots, unfortunately. You know what's funny? Not every team has cheerleaders, which you know, I wasn't really privy to until like a few days ago. Said the New York Giants don't have cheerleaders. But you know, that's funny. Madden 12, yeah, definitely with the pregame intros. See, that's what, you know what? I'm kind of glad I've now found a green zone with current gen NBA 2K. Like between the Live King and his movement sliders, and real 2K Insider with his rosters and tendency fixes, I definitely now have a green zone. I played a game earlier today. I was playing against... Who I was playing against? I was playing against Orlando. And of course I had the Wizards. And thank God they got those city jerseys for the Wizards. Them jerseys look like Georgetown Hoyas. Like back in the 90s when they had the gray and they had the African designs on the side with the American flag on the side. It reminds me of that Georgetown Hoyas uniform. If you ever get a chance, definitely check it out. Hold up. One of my championship ring just... Speaking of which, let me show you guys this. See if the camera zooms in or whatever. That's my high school football state championship ring. We won this back in '97. The V in the middle is 5, Roman numeral 5, because that's how many state championships at that time my high school won. And let's see, I'll show you the. I don't know if I may have to pull it back. It's not even auto-focusing, but it pretty much says Wild Lake #1. It had the state pictured on the side, and 3A. It was like the first time we, and at the time, and let's see, on here, yeah, you guys aren't gonna be able to see this. This is like, the camera's not even auto-focusing, but it pretty much says my last name, the jersey number on the helmet that's encrusted in here, and our coach's record at the time was 210 victories over 56 losses. So yeah, and this ring was especially sweet because I caught the game-winning touchdown in that game. You know, it's one of those type of games. That the game that we played in that state championship game reminded me of the Washington-Pittsburgh game Monday night. It was tight. It was ruled by defense, and it came down to key plays. It was 2 plays in particular. Let's give me a hook and ladder play a la Miami Dolphins Mark Duper. I think it was Mark Duper, or was it the other receiver that caught it and pitched it to the halfback coming out the backfield, and that was the play I ran. I ran like a hitch route, caught it, pitched it to the running back. He got down to the 10-yard line, was chased down by a guy named Leroy Ambush. If you guys ever want to look him up, I think he played a little bit in the NFL. Let me look up his name. But he played a little bit. He may have played. I know he played at the University of Maryland because they definitely recruited his ass from out of that game. Let me see. Yep, University of Maryland. Oh shit. I didn't know this happened to him. In 2013, he was sentenced to 6 months in jail. Hold up. But this was 2013, so this is definitely old news. For stealing money? Jeez. Good grief. Obviously he's okay now, but damn. So, but yeah, so I guess he didn't get the chance to play in the NFL because nothing popped up with NFL. But this cat was fast as shit. Like he caught our running back at the 10-yard line, and you gotta remember we ran a trick play. There was a line. Okay, I don't have the picture, but I'm pictured pitching the ball with a linebacker getting ready to kill me. It wasn't him, but he was not. He was like, okay, you guys are looking at this picture. Like, I'm just pitching it off in that direction to here would have been that linebacker. Would have been that. There was one linebacker that looked like he was gonna kill me. Leroy Ambush was further past that person on the other side of the field. And he caught our running back at the 10-yard line. Our running back had a head start. Yep. He did, yeah. That is ironic. So, but yeah, they got sucked up by the fact I caught the pass. And their coach is quoted as saying they practiced against that play. But we only ran it one time in a game. And it was at that moment we ran it. We never ran it any other time during the whole year. Somebody was watching one of our practices because I'm quoted in the paper as saying that we were practicing this. Obviously, this is after the state championship. I said this because we ran that play in practice. We fucked up that play so many times. Like either the pitch was bad, like I delivered a bad ball on the pitch, or I dropped it, or I delivered everything perfect. I did everything. I did my job. Caught the ball, pitched to him, and he fumbles it or whatever. Because after I catch it, I pitch it back. That's a fumble if he loses it. So I gotta make sure that I had to make sure that that ball was like here when he caught it. So he had eyes on whoever was ahead of him, which nobody was, when he caught it, so he can catch and run. There was no slowdown, no nothing. Leroy Ambush was faster than him, faster than all of us apparently. And it's funny because I was trailing the play, so I firsthand saw Leroy Ambush out the corner of my eye, and I was like, "Fuck, where'd he come from?" And his last name proved exactly that, Leroy Ambush. So shout out to Leroy Ambush. I'm like his team, Thomas Johnson, out of Frederick County, Maryland. Pretty good team. They could have won the states. They could have beaten us, but our defense was better than their offense, and they ran the Delaware wing T to perfection. You know what's funny thing is? You know why? Like sometimes I kind of laugh when Bills talks about the Patriots when he was a Patriots fan before he became a Buccaneers fan, was the fact that this team was called the Thomas Johnson Patriots. They literally had the old 85 Patriots logo on their helmets, and we beat them. And it's funny because our defensive stand included almost leaving somebody wide open and a deflection at the line of scrimmage by one of our linebackers on the play, a la Sweat in the game against Pittsburgh. So, and then obviously you had the hook and ladder, and then the second play I didn't tell you. So so our running back got caught down at the 10-yard line, and we ran a couple plays, and then we decided to call the halfback pass. And this play was set up because our team ran. We were a wishbone formation team, so we ran the ball pretty much the whole game. Here was my stat line. I had 3 catches for like 50-some yards and a touchdown. That was my stat line for that game. There were other stat lines in other games. I had 1 catch. It would just be like 1 or 2 catches, maybe just 1 catch. But the funny thing is, I've had better stat lines when I played JV. Like, there was one game in JV, I had 111 receiving yards in the first half. They pulled me out in one game against our arch rival. Well, we have one arch rival, then we have one that we just beat every single year, no fail, where I had 111 yards receiving, and I didn't play for the rest of the game because we were beating the team so bad. I had 2 touchdowns in one game. I had a game-time touchdown, a game-winning touchdown. I had one game where I caught like 5 passes for 120-some yards and a touchdown. The highlight play on that game was the fact that I did like a 10-yard dig, caught it, corner and the safety hit me. They didn't wrap up. I bounced back. They fell to the ground, hopped over them, scored a touchdown. So, but while I was on varsity, my senior year pretty much was the deep threat. Now, I'm not really that fast. I could definitely get all down the field. But okay, but I veered off a bit. Halfback pass. Play was set up. We were running sweeps all game long, crack sweeps, because that's back in the day. You can actually hit the linebacker blindside, and it wouldn't be a penalty. So we set this up. Tight formation. It was bone right, Lee, slot right, halfback pass. That was the call. I didn't think I remember the actual play call, but that was the play call. and we were in tight, and I feigned like I was going for the linebacker, and there was a corner. The guy name was DeAndre Gibson. He was number 20 on the Patriots, and he was guarding me. Matter of fact, the picture that I have is actually of me about to catch the pass. Obviously, this is the end of the play with him trailing, reaching like, oh shit. Because I lulled that defense to sleep on the play because I feigned like I was going to take the linebacker on a crack sweep, and what was it? Our running back threw a perfect pass to the corner of the end zone. I caught it, and funny story. This part got caught when they were doing the highlights on TV. Since at the time Bird Stadium had constructed their track or whatever, or they still had a track around the football field. So when I caught the pass, of course I was inbounds, touchdown, and I'm trying to pull up, and then all of a sudden I stopped and I slipped and fell. They caught that, and they kept the, you know how like they play the last highlight and they keep it rolling past where you're supposed to cut. Well, they kept it rolling, and the anchor laughed when she saw me slip and fall. She was like, "Oh, hope she's okay." So, but other than that, I'm like, that was, when I watched the Washington Pittsburgh game, that's how it felt. It felt like the game was that tight. It was back and forth. It was a very defensive game. We had the best defense in the state of Maryland that year. We only gave up 9 points in that whole playoffs. We played 3 games. We only gave up 9 points. And yeah. So let me get to the chat real quick before I bounce out of here. So I know I was glancing over and I seen Doug is so let me read everything. So we talked about ambush for a little bit. So okay, so you guys ran that play in 9th grade, the hook and ladle. Yeah. And it's funny because our high school, when we got back to the States and we won our second 3A title. This was, I think, this was like 10 years ago. They ran the play and they scored off of it. So no, they scored off the halfback pass. I don't think they ran the hook and lateral. They ran the halfback pass and they scored off of it. And they definitely, I think the coach, it was Coach Harrison, who was our defensive coordinator when we won it. He was the head coach of Wild Lake when they won. So I definitely appreciated the nod on that one, especially the receiver that caught it. That, yeah. But let me see. We called it the Leonard Special, named after a coach who was only a QB coach. Oh, okay. Let's see. Was it because of Tom Brady? Okay, so I think it was around the time I was talking about the Patriots and the 85 logos. I remember all my plays, and halfback pass was one of them. Oh, so you were a running back. Oh, wait a minute. Hold up. Let me see. Played in Arkansas. You had a... Okay, I'll answer that question, Antonio, in a little bit. Let's see. I'm just trying to catch up with Doug because he put on a lot when I was ranting. I was getting stuff out. Okay, running back and cornerback on defense. I only played wide receiver, but in JV I played free safety and corner, and I played nickel defensive back. I actually have a sack on record. I actually share it with a lineman, so half a sack. To this day, whenever I say I got one sack, he was like, "But I helped." He actually did. I hit the guy high. He had the guy by the ankles. Yeah, I got half a sack playing nickel DB, and it was more like a replay because I was in coverage, but the quarterback scrambled, and it was just like, no, he's not leaving the backfield, and I was in position, so I was like, yeah, let's do this. The only time I really crunched somebody on defense, and the lineman definitely, like the dude's name that helped me was Garth Herdrick. He definitely, like, we laughed about it afterwards, but yeah, he got half the sack, I got the other half, and it was the only sack I did have 2 interceptions in one game. Like, they just threw me out there, and I played the position like Darryl Green. I watched Darryl Green play defensive back, so I lined up exactly like him. I had no real technique. I played to the inside. I played inside leverage and tight, and it was fun. I could have had 2 pick sixes, but again, I'm not fast. I wasn't fast, and I got caught from behind each time. So, okay. So, I think the conference I played in was either Wishbone or T-Form or Power I. Yeah, we had the Power I in our formation list. We did go spread, but by the time I was a senior, I was literally the only. I would say I was the only reliable receiver they had. So we went wishbone. We had our starting defensive end was our tight end. I was the one, like, they had a speedier, more athletic wide receiver, but and to this day, I remember at our 20-year high school reunion. Oh, there goes Omega right there. At our 20-year high school reunion, to this day, you know, I do thank him for allowing me the opportunity to play wide receiver, but I was going to beat him out for the slot anyway because, according to his admission, he knew he was faster than me. He knew he was more athletic. He knew all these things that he had the advantage of, but one thing, I worked very hard at my position. I worked very hard on my craft. I literally was a student of the wide receiver position. He didn't have that. And that's why it was for him, the hard work and determination was the reward, because he actually started the season at wide receiver. But after, and it's funny because in that first game, I actually got injured in that game. I didn't miss a game. I didn't miss any games due to injury while playing high school football. There's only 2 games I missed overall, and it was due to academics. It was being a doofy towards the end of the freshman year. But what was it? But yeah, he was just like, yeah, you put more work into being a wide receiver than I did. This is coming from him. So it was like, I can't just, squash that. That meant something to him. And plus, at the same time, in practice, I could burn him, the other corner. There was nobody that could cover me on our own team, which made them better corners for other receivers. They was like, shit, the best receiver in the county is on our team. Everybody else is just a piece of cake. Like, I literally mossed the other corner because we had double moves in our route tree. I frustrated the hell out of our own defense. Like, they couldn't guard me. I knew where the holes were, or obviously because I knew the defense. But still, it was definitely interesting that he made that admission in high school, and he made that admission in our 20-year reunion, and I'm very appreciative that he saw that, because most people, they don't care about their hard work. If they think they're more talented, I've had, like, when I going into that senior year, I had this one cat that literally threatened to take my spot. Like, oh, I'm not going to have a senior year starting at wide receiver because this guy was taller than me. Well, the other guy was taller than me too, and could jump higher. He was taller than me. He was more physical as far as with the position. He thought he was the shit. Well, you gotta have the grades to be able to play. If you're not available on the field, then you can't do shit. And plus, I still outperformed him in our little summer camp that we had. We did like 7-on-7 tournaments during the summer, and if it wasn't for an ankle injury, I would have dusted him as far as, you know, performance at our wide receiver spot. And I played the 7-on-7s, played leading into our senior year, but I also played on our junior year with seniors that were better receivers than him. So I digress. All right, so your play was X right 228 halfback pass. So then 228 is usually the routes assigned to the receiver. So X right. So it was 3 receivers. Oh no. If it was left to right, then, but the X was on the right. So you ran but you were a running back. But the receivers, so you had 2 receivers run the 2 route. So I would think that would be the X is the. So I guess you guys named the X the tight end. If you were saying X right. Oh, it's 220. Wow. Okay, 228 is a toss play. 228. Well, okay. Yeah, I'm being stupid. Y was on the left, X was on the right. Yeah, X was off splitting. Yeah, that's what I was saying. The X. So that was the tight end was on the. Like you said, the Y was on the left, X was on the right. He ran a fly. Oh yeah. On toss plays, most plays you're running a fly or something like that to get the DBs, get the corner on your hip. Something just to get them out the way. I usually ran a slant on sweep plays because we were setting up the crack sweep. So no matter where, if we ran a toss play, I would purposely run tight. I would line up a little tighter. I wouldn't line up as tight because I'd be by myself and run like a slant because I always wanted to put it in the linebacker's head to keep his head on a swivel. So I would feign like I was going to block him on a sweep, and then nothing would happen. And then we also had other receivers that actually relished the crack sweep a lot more than I did. I hated slants. I hated sweeps that caused me to come down and block linebackers. I had to block a 300-pound defensive end at one point. I put him on his ass, but still, I hated that. I'm like every typical small receiver that hates going over the middle. We don't last that long. It's just that we weren't built. I'm like, you have to be like insane as a wide receiver. And I remember on my semi-pro team, there was this white boy that kept getting lit up on every slant, and I'm sitting there like, I couldn't do it. I'm like, I'm an outside receiver. I'm like, there's a difference. Like, the one receiver that Washington had that used to be a quarterback. I forgot his name. But they tried to make him an inside receiver, and he's definitely an outside receiver. So that was just Jay Gruden being a dumbass. Anyway, let's see. Let me get down to Antonio's question. You had a girlfriend before? Yes, I have had a few. I'm very selective. All right. Let's see. Yes, it was running back, cornerback. I came close to 2 interceptions in one game. Yeah. I'm like, the quarterback basically threw them right to me. So I got 2 easy picks. Always had to play the number 1 receiver. I don't even know if there was a number 1 receiver on the opposing teams we faced. I just lined up whoever's opposite on the right side because I never played the left side corner. I played right corner. And, yeah. Let's see. Talent and athleticism can only take you so far. You got to put the work in, too. Yep. That's what everybody saw, too. Like, the coaches could see it. Like, I probably would have played a lot in my junior year, but but you know how it is. You got seniors in a position that are ahead of you, they're gonna play. And I'm like, the receiver ahead of me, his name was Barrett. He was very good. He was a good route runner. He had great hands. Only knock on him was when we played in the playoffs against, and this is my junior year. He had a opportunity to score a touchdown, which would have put some distance, or it really would have set the tone for the game. He was wide open. He drops a wide open pass for a touchdown. Like, he was in the end zone and dropped it. I learned a lot from that. I learned a lot from, I don't know if you are familiar with another cat by the name of Tony Jackson. Played at the University of Maryland. He was a safety, which unfortunately he didn't get a chance to play in the Orange Bowl against Florida. But he was University of Maryland's one of their top safeties. Was, I think, second team all conference. Played under Ralph Friedgen, who to this day, I know we have a current coach that Loxley, that looks like he's going to be very good, but Ralph Friedgen was the man in the University of Maryland, and the college let him go for, I don't know what the reason was, but he had won Coach of the Year before he got let go by the University of Maryland. So I don't know what the deal was, but yeah, Tony Jackson, he was from Wild Lake High, and actually, honestly, he was a better baseball player than he was a football player. He got drafted into the major leagues. Of course, he would have to think he was drafted by the Mariners, I think. But he chose to play football. Oh, well, initially he was doing both. He was playing in the minors. I think he played in the minors or single A, same thing, and was playing football and just made a commitment to football. If he had made that commitment to baseball, I think he'd be still playing it. Cause no, he probably would have hung him up by now. But he had power, speed. Man, he hit our high school in the air from our this one game. The only other player that has ever hit our high school from to hit a home run was a guy named Jim Traber. He used to play for the Baltimore Orioles. He went to Wild Lake High School. He hit the high school gym from the field. So, oh man. Yeah. Okay. So Antonio's like, I haven't had one yet. I wouldn't even say hang in there. It's just like, if you're selective, it's just honestly good to wait. I mean, you can't. I was never the type that was aggressive in pursuing women. It had to be organic in nature for me to be in a relationship with someone. So I say the organic relationships are going to be your best relationships. Don't go out here chasing these women. Let them come to you. Well, you pursue the ones you like, but let the process be organic and understand who you're dealing with before you take things further. That's my piece of advice. So, but yeah. So yeah, high school was fun playing football. Got a state championship out of the deal, and damn, this went from sci-fi to high school football and relationship advice. I know somebody was joking last night talking about what's the name, Coach Ruckus, who used to be on the Sim Standard radio show like a while back before they had their like breakup, like whatever the case was, that he's been the whole entire time he was involved in like get dating advice from men and stuff like that. And I said last night that I would rather receive dating advice from a woman than a man, because I already have the man part covered. I want to hear from the ladies' perspective, or what they see when a man's pursuing them. What are we doing wrong? What are we doing right? What can we improve upon? You know, coming from a woman's perspective, especially if that's a missing component, because I grew up with my father. Even though I'm in contact with my mother, wasn't necessarily day to day to understand how women operate and stuff like that. It's been like trial by fire almost. So for me, it's preferring a woman giving dating advice, because that's the missing component that I didn't have growing up. So that's just me. If you had both your parents all the way up, then you kind of understand everything, and you can get from, you don't even have to get advice at that point. Unless, I don't know. Oh damn! Oh, he broke his glasses. That's what he did. Oh, one of those red pillars. All right, so okay, wow, we literally we squeezed more time. You know what's funny? Like I said earlier, I originally was gonna do this for 30 minutes, and we're approaching the 2-hour mark. I thank you guys for thank you Doug, thank you Antonio, and Bills, even, and Spec for earlier, the all caps, you know, coming back with just starting off the stream with the all caps, and then just consistently Doug and Antonio just give me motivation to just, you know, talk. So I appreciate it. Thank you guys. And no, I honestly, it's really thank you guys for hanging out with me, because honestly, it's a time to really talk about stuff other than sports. Like, I know for a while, some of my earlier episodes, I was getting back to what we would talk about on First and Frame Rates. So I've made a conscious choice to get away from that, because I want to talk about something different. I do want to do the politics. I want to talk about that. And I've kind of taken a sabbatical from the politics a bit, because, you know, it was overdrive up until after they finally figured out who won the presidential election, which at this point, Trump, as far as his cases, is 1-51. You lost, buddy. Get the fuck out. And you know what's funny? There's actually a chance where he'll just go to Mar-a-Lago for Christmas and not come back. I hope he does that. Stay your ass down there. Nobody wants you. You don't want to come up to the inauguration, that's fine. Get the fuck out. But the sad part is he has 4 years of eligibility to be president. So he's thinking about running in 2024. And this is coming full circle. The great Obi-Wan Kenobi said this in the scene in A New Hope. Who's a bigger fool? The fool, or the fools who follow that fool? So 45 is a fool, but there's 74 million other fools that chose to follow him. And some because they don't know any better, but the ones that the most dangerous ones that follow him are the ones that made a conscious decision to follow him. Those are the ones I'm more worried about, because those are the ones that know what they're doing is supporting a racist, a bigot, a narcissist. Knowing all this, they choose to support him. Because, like another movie I watched that featured Hitler coming back to life, the guy who played Hitler was like, you know why they follow me? Because inside them is me as well. And that is why the conscious, what do they call it? Cognitive dissonance is what they call it. And that is the worst part of that 74 million people that chose to vote for this fool. Is that a good portion of them consciously did it. Because they see something in him that reminds them of their selves. And that's it. That's it. So if this guy wants to leave and not have the final walk to Air Force, the Helicopter One, Marine One, fine. That saves us tax money. And Lord knows we need all that money because our government has screwed us all anyway. So we'll just leave it at that. What if he runs for president a second time? I can't really say what I really think why he wouldn't be able to run. It has nothing to do with prison time. It has nothing to do with lawsuits. Let's just say life guarantees two things. He's hidden one and eventually he'll run into the other. I'll just leave it at that. And I hope... Nope. Not gonna go there because I'm gonna have Secret Service looking at the stream like, oh, we need to check him out. I'm like, dude, I don't know why you checking me out. He's on his way out anyway. He gonna check out soon. He's checking out of the White House. He's gonna be down Mar-a-Lago and he's to stay there. I think he can do more damage. Honestly, he'll do more damage on not being the president of the United States because those 74 million people that voted for him are going to just obstruct like you've never seen. That is what I'm fearful of, and to the point where you know what my biggest here's the picture I want to see. I want to see him get his ass carried out the White House like in cuffs, like not arrested just because he won't leave. Cuff his ass and do like they do do him like they do us when they serve these no-knock warrants for us. Just bust the door down, have Secret Service know that, hey, we're coming to raid this place. We're going to drag this fool out of his house in his underwear. Drag him out. Don't even put him on Marine One. Put him on Prison One. Put him on Slave One. Have Boba Fett carry his ass out of there. That's... we need the Senate in Georgia. The sad part is, I don't even think it's going to matter. Because I already believe that both these parties, Democrats and Republicans, have screwed us all. So, whether we win Georgia, there's 2 Senate seats, in which, oh God, don't get me started on Left-Labat. Yeah, she definitely needs to, somebody showed a picture. It was a close-up, and I felt like in her long hair was a lone white wire, like like somebody was feeding her lines. Cause I swear she was so robotic. It was just like extreme liberal left, extreme liberal left, extreme liberal left, radical extreme liberal left. Like she kept repeating herself, and she said it exactly the same way, the same tone. And she showed no emotions throughout that whole debate. She was getting sliced up throughout that whole debate. I don't care what anybody says. She does not first of all, she wasn't even elected by the people. She was appointed to that position because somebody had a health issue and had to vacate his seat. So she was appointed earlier this year. She needs to get the fuck out. So Georgians, don't vote for that. Don't vote for Left-Labat. Do not vote for Left-Labat. She is a fembot, as they said in Austin Powers. She is. Oh my God, she's a fembot. Yeah, she's a Left-Labat. Yeah, get her ass out of there. And then the other guy, he didn't even have the decency to show up. And also, I don't know who the other guy's name is, but he definitely is the most natural sounding person out of the two. I'm like, we have a preacher, and we have the other guy that likes to say y'all. I like them kind of cats that throw y'all into, because it for me. I hear somebody talk and they have this like, I don't know. I have this bias towards like country sounding voices that know how to talk, but throws y'all in there. It's just like, that's grounded to me. I'm like, I'm been around. Not saying that some southern folks are not educated, but it's just like when you get the well speaking ones that throw y'all in it, that lets me know how grounded that person is, that he can switch. Just like, and it kind of reminds me of how us as African Americans, when it comes to how we talk, how we have to switch how we talk according to who we talking to. And that's another thing that most white people don't understand, having to switch languages, even though it's all English. There's different types of Englishes that we speak. Oops. Correction. It's a different type of English that we speak when we speak in the workplace versus when we're around our friends, versus when, well, for me, when I'm around my family, I speak one way. When I'm around my friends, I speak another way. When I'm around like professional settings, I speak totally different. And you would hope that being in America, I can just speak one way, but no, I had to learn 3 different dialects growing up. Most white people only just need one. So that's why the dude Warnock, I don't know if he said it, but I know somebody else said it. They was just like, Leffler, you don't get it. When it comes to race in America, there's 2 conversations that you're gonna have with your kids if you're African American. You're gonna have the one about the birds and the bees and how to behave when you get pulled over. White people don't get that talk. They don't even have to have that. They don't have to worry about that. So they just have to worry about the birds and the bees. They don't have to worry about if they get pulled over, that they won't be profiled. They won't be dragged out their car just for a broken taillight. So that's pretty much it. And yeah, we're gonna head out in that moment as I'm seeing MJF to stop. No, is he trying to break that dude's fingers? Some nice chain wrestling going on. Huh. Maybe he's just taking advantage of an injured body part. Don't tell me MJF is gonna lose this way. No, he's kicking out of this. Oh, I'm about to say, if they had MJF losing to this dude, I would be like, nah, that's like some WWE type bullshit. He's gonna go for it again. He's gonna put his foot on the ropes. Oh, somebody else will do it for him. Predictable. Alright, so I'm gonna end it on that note. Thank you guys for coming to the stream. It definitely was nice to talk science, sci-fi, talk sports, and talk politics in a way that, felt organic and relaxed. So, so wait a minute, what just? Oh, he knocked out. Okay, I see what's going on. So let me just go through the roll call. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Antonio. Thank you, Bills. And thank you, Spec, for commenting during the stream. It was definitely nice to hang out with you guys. Definitely nice for you guys to come to the stream and just, talk with your boy. You know how we do. But one thing I do have to take care of some admin. Just make sure, tell your friends, tell people if they want to, like a diverse conversation, they want to hear diverse talk. Just follow me over here at EVO325 over on Twitch. I do this stream, What the Fuck Just Happened, every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also a panelist on First and Frame Rates, which is on VF's channel. And we usually go live around a range time of 7:45, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesdays and Thursdays. On First and Frame Rates, we normally talk about sports and video games. So it's very specific what we talk about. And we kind of do branch off. And we also roast people on there too. So, you know, we have some people who like to be, what do they call them? Court jesters. And we definitely have one in the form of a pelican. So definitely tune in. Like I said, VF, Bills, myself, we all, it's the NWO of the sim football community that used to be a part of the sim football community. The NWO of what was the sim football community, coming together Tuesdays and Thursdays, between 7:45 8 p.m. start time Eastern Standard Time, over on VF's channel. You can also follow him, VF Baller, here on Twitch. You can also follow Bills here on Twitch whenever he decides to stream. You can follow VF, it's just VF Baller on Twitch. You can follow Bills, and you can follow him. His username is JMBMJ3293. I think he's gonna start streaming some Madden, the next gen Madden, soon. Whenever he gets, and it really is gonna be whenever he gets time, because he has a demanding career, music wise. So, like he said earlier in the chat, he was in the middle of writing lyrics. So, you know, the grind never stops. So whenever he gets time, he'll definitely stream, and it'll just pop up. I don't think it'll be, oh, I'm gonna stream at this time and then it happens. So, where myself and VF, we can actually give you guys a schedule when we're gonna stream. VF will set up his schedule, and you'll see from there. But you know, his streams are hilarious. I'm still waiting for the next Racist Wrestling Federation game stream to happen, where all the wrestlers who are black get screwed out of every match. And even some of the top superstars get screwed out of matches, because when the black wrestler enters the ring, all the white wrestlers turn and start beating on him, like the LAPD. Okay, I'm gonna get canceled for that. So, again, thank you guys for coming in. I'm going to play some Cyberpunk. Wasn't expecting to, but we are. So thank you. Take care. Peace. Au revoir. Sayonara. Dos vidanias. Peace.